Welcome to the show your parents, the PTA and the asleep don't want you to hear. The Helios blog. Today on Piers Morgan, the hosts were on her side. Trump versus Harris debate. Let's go.
The reason she's alone is because she's difficult.
Women are not accepting the bare minimum.
Women fuck men they respect.
All the women who say things like, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, like, y'all impress me.
Women just gaslight each other and say what they want to hear.
It was his failure to jump in and get the answers he wanted.
He didn't take the bait while she was sneering and jeering at him.
Okay, let's go.
Because our network is gigantic. It's not just about me.
Let me start with you, Shane, because you've repeatedly called me a Trump sympathizer, a Trump whisperer, a Trump supporter, all these ridiculous things. I'm very happy, as I tweeted earlier, to say to you that I think Kamala Harris not only won the debate last night, she won it quite comfortably.
She smacked Trump in the face during that debate, apparently.
And I was very surprised by that. I thought she began nervously, but grew in confidence. Trump started confidently and then pretty much lost the plot and responded to a lot of her deliberate goading in entirely the way she would have hoped. So I think it was a big win for Kamala Harris. It may not move the needle in the immediate aftermath in terms of the election, but in terms of momentum and in terms of what happened to the Democrats after the last debate, you got to say it was a good night.
Yeah, Piers, look, in your intro, you're fair and you're right. Kamala Harris definitely won and Donald Trump clowned himself. But
Clowned.
You're kind of rooting for Trump and you could tell that you were disappointed in how it went. So I get it. You guys are friends. It's okay.
I'm actually,
Anyways,
you've always miscategorized. Just to be clear, I'm not disappointed. I genuinely
Piers actually doesn't give a shit.
thought he was going to win. They're different things. And he didn't win. And that's a problem for Trump and a good night for Kamala Harris. And so they're different things. You know, I don't have a horse in the race. I can't vote for anybody. I do know Trump way better than I know Kamala Harris. But I'm always trying to be fair. I've told you this before, and I think I'm being fair now.
Yeah, Piers actually doesn't care. He cares about himself and money. I get it.
I absolutely say Kamala won.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, it's your bias, whether it's slight or significant, is irrelevant. Don't sweat it, okay?
I'm not biased.
This Cenk guy is very arrogant. Very, again, he has a very punchable face.
You know what, Piers? I pardon you. Okay.
All right, let's move on.
So seriously, look, I was on here after the Biden-Trump debate, and I said Biden got annihilated, and he did, right? You have to be fair and objective, and I think you were in the intro here. There's no question that Trump got annihilated here. And MAGA has the same problem that the establishment has. The establishment thinks that everybody thinks like them, and they think, oh my God, doesn't everybody love the status quo? No, the overwhelming majority of the country constantly wants change because their lives are not as good as the millionaire anchors on television. But television anchors just cannot get that through their heads, right?
This guy looks like pasty, slimy, sweaty, tired. I don't know. He's on something, this Cenk guy. He's some sort of substance.
And they love corporate rule, but the rest of the country doesn't. And MAGA has the same problem because they think, oh, doesn't everybody know that Haitian immigrants are eating cats and dogs? I saw an out-of-context video online that right-wing media told me was Haitians. Oh, that's it. All the immigrants are eating cats and dogs. Look, MAGA, you're not getting it. No one else thinks that. First of all, it's not true. The local cops say it's not true. Everybody says it's not true. But not only that, the rest of the country...
That's how, liberals think too, right? When the university professor tells you that men are trash and all that, and you believe them, well, nobody thinks like you, right? But you still spew it to all the audiences you could possibly see.
country doesn't think like you. So when you say stuff like that, you sound unhinged. When you insist Trump still won the election as Trump did last night, you sound unhinged. When you talk about post-birth
Disagree.
abortions, that's not a thing that exists. I know in your mind you think it does, but A, it doesn't. In objective reality, that's just called murder. And there is no such law in America at all. Right-wing media lied to you through and through and tricked you. But most importantly, the people that are going to decide this
Right-wing media as opposed to the left-wing media that never ever lies.
election are not MAGA, are not establishment. They're guys in the middle. And when they see Trump talking about eating cats and dogs and executing babies, he looks nuts, and it drives them all into Kamala Harris's arms. So if you're MAGA, you should be furious at Trump tonight.
Okay.
Or today.
Let me go to Tommy first on this. Tommy, I want to play that clip where he talked about the Haitian migrants eating pets. Let's take a look.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
The thing is, Tommy, that should have been a home run for Trump, right? This is absolutely his wheelhouse. She was the border czar. She's dropped the ball massively. That's all he had to say. But going down this ridiculous conspiracy rabbit hole of migrants eating everyone's pets, which had already been discredited, certainly there's no actual evidence to prove it at the moment. It just seemed, as Cenk says, he sounded a bit nuts. And
Meh, is my response to that. It's stupid, but I mean, it's not, it's not insanely stupid. Well, okay. I digress.
he lost the momentum of what should have been a home run.
I don't disagree that he missed a huge opportunity to hold her to account on the border invasion that happened on her watch. She didn't answer why.
Full disaster. By the way, watch the debate. She said that Trump dodged questions. She dodged every single question for the entire debate. They both did.
She let 10 million plus in. That was a question she was asked that she dodged because the low-hanging fruit is to talk about the bipartisan border bill. But I don't disagree with you. Trump had an opportunity to hold her feet to the fire, and he didn't do it. Now, I will also say this. If Donald Trump wanted to talk about Springfield, Ohio, or Aurora, Colorado, or other communities that are being devastated by mass immigration of foreign nationals, he could have taken that opportunity because it's a very real thing that's happening. Sanctuary cities are going broke and bankrupt, taking care of millions of people that have been thrown into their communities that refuse to assimilate. He could have.
Yup, like in where? Like in England, like in, before Germany like shifted policies, like in Germany, and so on.
Have discussed it in that way because these communities are being devastated and you have people at city council meetings that are quite frankly talking about it. But he chose to go a different route. I wish he had not done that. I wish he would have taken the bait. There's no doubt he took the bait, he took the hook, he took the line, he took the sinker, he took the entire frickin' boat. And I am frustrated by that, and I am intellectually honest enough to say it. I wish he had not done that. He missed several opportunities last night, but that does not change the fact that Kamala Harris's record, both in 2020.
Yeah, she's not very good. We know she's not very good. Trump said in the debate, if she wants to change all these things, why hasn't she done it already? She's the full-on vice president. But, whatever. The way, losing a debate like this, a bunch of people will go to Kamala's side. If he doesn't recover, it's over.
20 and 3.5 years in office is abysmal. I wish he would have focused on that.
Yeah, I agree. Let me bring in Michael, actually, on this as another conservative.
All you had to say was, you're bad at your job. Done. And keep everything she says, just hammer at that point. You're bad at your job.
Yeah. Were you disappointed when that debate finished, that Trump played it the way he did?
I thought it finished strong. I felt that Trump's closing statement was excellent. I agree with you, Piers. He should have given the closing statement probably as the introductory statement. I thought Trump did very well for the first 20 or 25 minutes. I thought that was a pretty clear victory. And then when Kamala, quite good at manipulating people, was able to get him to fall for the trap on the crowd sizes, that did throw things. However, that was also when the moderators stepped in, the so-called moderators.
Oh, right. I didn't mention this either. It did really feel to me like the moderators were against Trump. It really did feel. Again, let me know in the comments if you agree or not. Were the moderators siding with Trump, or were they impartial?
And so you really did have
or were they siding with Kamala? I don't know why I didn't mention the third option.
3-on-1 debate at that point. There were missed opportunities, but Cenk earlier mentioned that President Trump said all sorts of things that aren't true, and the example he used was the notion of post-birth abortion, the notion that babies are killed through abortion after birth. And Lindsay Davis, who was one of the so-called moderators, made this point when she fact-checked Trump. But she was wrong, and Cenk is wrong, and this is really happening. And the irony of it is that one of the chief proponents of killing babies who survive abortion after birth is Kamala Harris's own running mate, Tim Walz. This is not difficult to look up. Within the past couple of years, Governor Walz in Minnesota repealed legal requirements that would force doctors who have babies who have survived abortions to provide medical care for them as they would to any other patient. So that is happening. When President Trump quoted the Democrat governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, who said that after a baby is born, if the mother doesn't want it, they'll have a conversation with the doctor, see what they're going to do. That's on tape. You don't need to take my word for it. You can go watch it on tape. So there were multiple instances of the moderators intervening and lying on Kamala's behalf, and then they never at any point fact-checked Kamala's lies. So I agree. I'm not saying it was the greatest performance ever. I think there were a number of missed opportunities from President.
Both sides lied, because what do politicians do? They lie.
President Trump, I suspect his campaign advisors.
Also, I don't know about you, but did you feel sick to your stomach when she said that she actually cares about people? Come on, that is horse shit. Also, she never mentioned that she's a wokey, right? That she, is all about like women's rights and, except when she talked about women's right to choose, the government has no business telling women what to do. Well, again, if you don't do it, your birth rate's going to decline. By the way, also, I noticed this. Kamala said about all the policies that she plans to implement, but she didn't say where the money's going to come from. Well, you know where the money's going to come from? And also, she didn't talk about how she's going to fix inflation, because she's not. What's going to happen is, in order to implement all those policies she talks about, well, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to tax the population in order to implement these policies. And what does that do? Those taxes? Well, what it does is it increases inflation, effectively. It increases how much you have to pay for things. So the inflation in the supermarket is going to go up even more to implement Kamala's policies. So it's very stupid to, say that you're going to fix things when really the choices you're going to make are very liberal, right? Her plans are like, that's what left-wing governments do, right? Left-wing governments' thing is provide more services to the population. But money doesn't grow on trees. These services that are being provided to the population, a la socialism, are gotten or are acquired through the taxation of the population. So you have to increase the tax in order to implement these, $6,000 when you have your first child in the first year, $50,000 to start a business and all that. Well, all that money to do those things is all going to come from people's pockets. One way or another, they'll increase the cost of gas, or they'll increase the cost of groceries, or they'll increase the cost of rent, or they'll increase they'll decrease the policy that returns you money on your tax return, or whatever. Anything like that will provide the money for those services. So, again, money doesn't grow on trees.
told him not to get aggressive. I thought it was crazy that he never called out the moderators. People always ought to attack the media in politics.
Do you know what I thought? You know what I thought,
warranted.
Michael? I just thought at the end that he was a bit boring, Trump. And the one thing he cannot be is boring. Because the point of Trump is he's so different to every other politician. He either makes you laugh, or he shocks you, or he's combative, or there's stuff always going on, which is compelling. I just didn't find Trump very compelling last night.
Maybe he was tired.
I just felt that he was very repetitive, and he got caught in various traps that were laid for him way too easily. But ultimately, I just thought he wasn't very entertaining either. So on every level, he wasn't Trump-like.
I agree there were a few moments where there should have been more pizzazz, but then don't forget, when he was talking about the cats and the dogs and the Haitian migrants, which we're all calling it a discredited story, but of course there are Springfield residents talking about this, and really all of the kind of evocative graphic details are really just there to call people's attention to the fact that Kamala Harris brought 300,000 people from a failed state with rampant cannibalism into the middle of America. That's something that most Americans don't like. When he did get a little spicier, he had some good lines about sending Kamala Harris a MAGA hat and how her economic policy that she stole from Biden and from him amounted to run, spot, run. There were some decent lines. I just felt he had to get aggressive in a different way, and he especially has to get aggressive on the moderators if they're going to intervene.
Yeah, because I don't think he's worked out quite how to do that with Kamala Harris. I mean, bring in Brian. I mean, Brian, look, I think it was a clear win for her. I think also the fact that Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star on the planet, arguably ever, has come out with such a ringing, emphatic endorsement when many people thought...
Yeah, that's... okay.
She may just avoid doing that altogether.
Yeah, so what's the point of that? You pay Taylor Swift to endorse you, and why would you do that? Well, Kamala's for women. She's literally Hillary Clinton 2.0, but even worse than Hillary, in the sense that she's less competent than Hillary was. And if she wins this time, I don't know what to tell you. It ain't gonna be good. It's gonna be, again, womanist, wokeist, socialist, leftist. You know, that's what... There's the female zeitgeist, especially in America. That's how they think. Womanist, wokeist, socialist, equalist. That's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And your tax dollars are going to go to that. You can be whatever gender identity you want. It's your choice. You can do whatever you want with your body. That's your choice. You know, men are trash. I mean, a woman is ruling the United States. What more does that say about men? We don't need them.
Together, everyone kind of knew her leanings, but they thought maybe, you know, she's with this big burly NFL guy, very popular in Middle America, and would she actually show her colors in such an emphatic way? Well, she did, and she chose Kamala's big win night to do it. So a double win, I think, for Kamala Harris, especially with young women who would have been watching that debate. Heard all the abortion stuff, saw Taylor Swift's comments and so on. But, and it's an important but really, this race is absolutely wafer thin. I had Nate Silver from 538 on last week saying it literally is as close as it could possibly be. Do you really think that this will move the needle in the race, or has it, what it's really done, has it given the Democrats more impetus, particularly after the debate debacle with Joe Biden?
Do I really think that Taylor Swift's endorsement, where her biggest audience is Gen Z, which is the smallest vote, which is the biggest voting bloc, but the voting bloc in which the fewest people vote, and she just posted to millions of people a voter registration link in her Instagram, do I think that that will have an impact in this election?
It will.
Where the margins are probably going to be decided by tens of thousands or just thousands of votes? Absolutely. And I think that we should take advantage of every opportunity that we get. It's important to note, too, that Donald Trump forced her hand. This was an unforced error because he was so desperate to lie about accepting her endorsement by posting some AI Swifties for Trump photo. He couldn't help himself but lie. And so that forced her hand in terms of then going out there and saying, look, I don't know if I would have said anything, but because there was manipulated video, manipulated photos out there, I thought the right course of action was to correct the record and let my actual position be known. And so because this guy is incapable of telling the truth, because he has to wield lies on a daily basis, because every time he opens his mouth, he has to spew disinformation and misinformation, he screwed himself here. And so he's the one that's going to be hurt from all of this. But moving back to just something that I think Michael said and Cenk said, Cenk started off very rightly talking about how Republicans and Donald Trump seem unhinged by perpetuating these ideas that dogs and cats are being eaten and that women are having post-birth abortions. And the first thing that Michael does when he comes on here is perpetuate these exact claims. Look, you guys can do this
and
until you're blue in the face.
With evidence.
I don't know how to convey the extent to which when Republicans say this kind of stuff, it does not resonate with normal people. And you seem...
No. What you say is normal is also not normal. You're conflating liberal, leftist, wokist idiot with normal person. You're also extreme. You also don't see it.
Crazy. And Donald Trump went out there on stage, got laughed at by the entire nation, and then Michael, you come on here and you do the exact same thing. So please, triple down on this, quadruple down on this, make this election a referendum on this bogus notion that women are executing their babies after they're born. I beg of you, we'll see how that works out.
Okay.
Well, Brian, just to respond briefly, Brian, all I did was refer to the law that Kamala Harris's running mate passed as the governor of Minnesota, the position that he currently holds. So, you know, if you think that sounds crazy or wild, or I don't know what to tell you, then I suppose we're living in different countries. I think Cenk made a much better point than Brian just made. And Cenk's point was that Americans want change. They don't like the status quo. And I think that's absolutely true. And I do think this was the missed opportunity of the debate.
The status quo is liberal, leftist, wokist, womanist, idiocy. That's the status quo. That's what it's been since the 80s.
The status quo is Kamala Harris.
Right.
She's the vice president. She's been imbued with presidential authority on immigration and other issues. So the change agent is Donald Trump here. That's what the debate's got to be about. That's what the election focus has to be about.
But actually, most viewers would have had the complete opposite impression. I mean, somehow, miraculously, Cenk, I thought Kamala Harris managed to present herself as the change option here. Given the fact she's been VP.
Yeah, she said, let's turn the page. Turn the page on what? You are the one who set up the policies that screwed the country. Let's turn the page. Yeah, let's turn the page to the next chapter where you talk about exactly the same crap you talked about in the previous chapter, except that's what it's going to be for the next 25 chapters.
Even only 4 years is extraordinary.
Disaster.
Ben Shapiro, your great friend, tweeted this. This debate won't matter. The American people still know nothing about Kamala Harris's positions. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump, and the legacy media are still a giant flaming dog turd.
Indeed.
Okay, so first of all, I'm enjoying everybody saying that I'm right. Thank you, guys. So in this debate, Kamala Harris, you know, the right wing is saying manipulated Donald Trump into being dumb and saying dumb things. Well, what does that tell you about Donald Trump? I mean, really, guys, you know it too if you're a right-winger. He got manipulated that easily. He's such a spoiled little child. The minute you mention his toy, which is the rallies, he's like, no, my rallies are bigger than your rallies. Come on, you're running for president, brother. Be a little bit.
He's a narcissist. He can't help
bigger than that, but he can't help himself. He's a tiny, weak man.
It's funny that you say that, Cenk. Sorry. Again, you talk like a guy who's never been punched in the face. No humility, zero lack of you know, what would be the best way to describe what he lacks? Class? Zero humility, zero class, arrogance dripping from every pore. So certain you're right. Just a living embodiment of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Sorry. You don't impress me.
That's why he was baited so easily. His mind is weak. So, look, as, you know, the conservatives...
I mean, one can argue that your mind is weak as well because you're a liberal, leftist, wokeist, womanist man.
You're talking about post-birth abortion. Really, name one case in the entire country where a woman had a baby and then executed it, and the state said, oh, that's totally okay. We allow post-birth abortions.
There were 8 cases.
You can't name one case because it's never happened, and you guys sound absolutely nuts when you say it. So I agree with Brian. Keep saying nuts so things. In fact, hold on, I'm not done yet.
I love it.
Hold on. And then now they're attacking the moderators. Attacking the moderators is so weak. First of all, there's no crying in politics. So when you cry about the moderators, you're just telling everybody we lost the debate. Thank you for admitting it. Second of all, now some right-wing media loons are talking about arresting the ABC moderators and shutting down ABC. Okay, do you know how pathetic and unhinged you sound when you make statements like that? First of all, what happened to free press? I thought you guys were in favor of free speech.
Sorry. When everything is stacked in your favor and then you use that to bludgeon people with, at a certain point people get tired. When does the pendulum swing?
All of a sudden, when your feelings get hurt, shut down the whole network, arrest it. What happened to cancel culture? Okay, so look, guys, if
you are the proponent for cancel. Okay, all right.
Don't want people to think you're going to be nuts and dictatorial. Don't say things like we're going to arrest debate moderators for doing fact checks.
Okay. And only for Trump, but not for your side. Conveniently. Yeah. Freaking disaster. And on that note, we will end the video there. Hit the like. Hit the sub. Hit all for notifications. Go buy my books like Hunter M, Adrian R, Tom M, Bobby, Dylan, Renaissance Press, Brian, Andrew, Ellen, Armani, and Nicholas. Shout outs to you, most recent purchaser of both my books, Strategist Guide to Seduction and Quotes to Live By. My books can be found at bit.ly/heliosbooks. And of course, if you'd like coaching services, message me at theheliosblog@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, guys, especially if you listen to the end. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.